Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Audio should be good. Should be good now. Give it a sec. Should be good now. For whatever reason, when it lost connection there, it muted me. But you should hear me now. Good. Okay, cool. Glad you guys can. Yeah, whatever it did, it muted me whenever it lost a little bit of connection. So, hey guys, what's up? I'm pulling up the other chat right now. We're gonna be doing Q&A today. I know it's Monday. It's Monday, right? Yeah. We'll talk about why I switched my schedule here in a few minutes, but we're also going to do the Veterans Coral Pack giveaway. And so if you're new to the channel, I do a monthly Coral Pack. It's like 10 frags from the 300. And all you have to do is supply proof of service or provide proof of service. It'd be a DD-214 or military ID. And you don't have to be a veteran. You can, just be in the military in general. You don't have to have any overseas stuff. But yeah, you can send that stuff to fishofhex@gmail.com. I do ask if you send your DD-214 that you blank out the social security number and the date of birth, just anything sensitive there. I just need to, see your name basically on a DD-214. Just because it's Gmail and I don't want to take any chances. So just make sure you cross that stuff out. Your ID, whatever you feel you need to cross out. I just need to see, your name associated with it. And then so basically you'll be added to the monthly drawing. Again, we try to do it the first live stream of every month. And then I'll also add you to if you want, I can add you to the lifetime 20% discount. Again, it's just a discount code I'll give you. You can use every time you want to purchase something, and it gives you 20% off. So if you haven't done that and you want to, go ahead and shoot me an email. So we're doing the live stream Q&A on Monday. 8 p.m. seems to work out pretty good for me. Now, my schedule has changed, hence the reason why I haven't uploaded anything in 10 days. I think the last video I posted was let me turn that off, was the competition video, which, by the way, thanks for all the support on that. And there will be another BJJ competition here probably in May. I just have to figure out kind of everything I want to do. But so I appreciate all the support on that. Now, my schedule changed because, to be completely honest with you guys, the last 15 months have been pretty rough for me. I try to put on a good face for YouTube's sake and, to keep the business going. But and this kind of all goes along with the 3D printing and why orders are so far behind. So over the last 15 months, I've been going through a pretty nasty a custody battle with my children. So the Monday after my jiu-jitsu tournament, so not only did I get a victory in that, I ended up doing quite well during the trial as well. So I ended up getting my children. So with that said, I have them the majority of the week, like a huge portion of the week now. So being a single dad, running the business, BJJ and everything else, I have a very full schedule. So that's why I'm not able to do the live stream on Thursdays. Maybe in the future, we'll see. But so Monday nights will probably be what I will do here in the future, just for just for the sake of seeing how things go. But so I've been going through a pretty rough time. And this kind of leads into the next thing. Right now we have 128 3D printing orders in queue. Okay. Now, believe me, guys, I love the support. I'm not telling you not to purchase anything. I'm just giving you a heads up saying that, I have 22 printers. Occasionally, one or two will go down. Right now, I have one down, and they run 24/7. Now, I did have a little bit of an issue last month getting filament in, whatever supply chains, whatever it was. I was able to order it, but it took multiple days, a lot longer than usual to get filament in. So, so basically, this is the thing: is when I was going through this custody thing, I literally, and this also moves into why I haven't bought the house. I literally took every single penny that I had, that I earned, that I saved, maxed out my credit cards just to afford the attorney and to kind of go through this process. It was very exhausting, not only emotionally, but physically, or not physically, but emotionally and financially. So with that said, that's why I still only have 22 printers, is that any of the money that I would have used to buy, a $900 printer here, $900 printer there, that money had to be used, obviously through this whole process. Anybody who's gone through it, which I know there's a few of you out there that I've talked to that are pretty close to me here on the YouTube. So, we've gone back and forth. It's a pretty crappy thing, but, so that is playing a huge role of why, I'm so far behind on orders. I just didn't have any extra money to buy printers. Now, at the moment, I am just kind of digging myself out of the hole. It's going to take me probably the rest of the year to kind of accumulate and kind of get out of the hole that I put myself in during this process. And I do plan on adding, I'm actually going to be removing the 2 low boys, and I'm going to use that entire wall to put in probably another 12 to 20 printers, depending on where I can find power. Because right now I'm going to have to run power lines from other parts of the house to be able to kind of take on this extra demand. So with that said, I'm actually also going a different route with printers. You guys know that I'm a pretty big fan on the Ender 3 Pro platform. The reality is that I use the platform, but I just basically swap everything out to make the printer the way I want it to be. From this point forward, I will be just using the Prusa Mark IIIs, just because I still get to build them kit wise, but the maintenance and downtime I'm going to have with them is going to be less. And at the moment, with the amount of orders that come in, I have to, um, I have to be able to, keep up with those orders and have printers not be going down. So, yeah, you guys can start adding your questions. We'll go ahead and get back to that here in a minute. But yeah, we'll start questions here in a minute. I just want to give you guys an update. So, yeah, it's been a very long 15 months, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything, but I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't change anything to go back to where I was, um, 15 months ago. I like where I'm at now, on every aspect of my life. So I wouldn't change that. It just was very exhausting, on every single level. And any of you guys who have ever dealt with that, you know what I'm talking about. So with that said, that's the update. I will be adding printers. It's just they're $900 a pop. They're about $1,000 with whatever upgrades I plan on putting, and that stuff adds up. I mean, right now we got 22, so that's about $22,000 in printers right now. I plan on adding another 20, or so, and yeah. So it just takes a little bit of time, but yeah, there you go. There's your update. And yeah, but other than that, orders are moving relatively quickly. The CO2 scrubber attachment, I think right now we have 40 some on different skimmer models, and they're coming in every single day. So appreciate that. And that is actually the number one selling item that I have on the website is the CO2 scrubber attachment for a skimmer. It's actually kind of crazy. So, but yeah, anyways, enough of that. Let's go ahead and move on. Let me shut the door because my washer is going crazy. Yes, we hear you. I have a washer and dryer that are like, I don't know, 20 some years old. They make noise when they be working. So okay, so let's go move down here. Let me see here. Okay. Missy, hey Travis, can't stress enough that everyone needs to get a generator or a battery backup for their tanks. We had a power outage for over 4 days and lost my porcupine pufferfish. You're down in Texas, I think, Missy. I think you're down in Texas. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I've done several videos on generators in general, but yeah, I did. On top of that, Missy, and that's a good point. You definitely want to have a generator, regardless of the setup you have. I mean, listen, if you have a Nano in your kitchen and you've only got a couple $100 in it, yeah, you probably don't want to go buy a $700 generator. But if you are rocking anything over $1,000 in your setup, and that's including livestock, then yeah, you should probably invest in a generator, and not just a random generator from Home Depot. Go ahead and spend the extra couple $100 and get the one with the what is the term I'm looking for? The one that regulates the power so you don't get any surges. It will come to me at some point. If anybody you guys remember, put it in the comment section. But yeah, so get the one that actually allows you to plug in. It regulates the power, and you won't have any spikes and frying the PCB boards and your apexes and your pumps and all that kind of stuff. So I do have both types of generators, and realistically, I would only use the one without the again, don't remember the name of it. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, I would use it. Let me pull up the other chat because maybe somebody said it. Only if I really had to. Let's go over to live and pull this up. So yeah, let me click on the video, click on this, pop out the chat. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It should be good now. Rob's calling me. Can you hear me now? Yep, cool. Okay. I don't know if listen, I don't know how long I was talking to myself, but yeah. Anyways, so back to the generator thing. Um, I had clients who actually had them built into their house. So if a power went off, it automatically clicked on. They're like $6,000. So I'm not saying you got to do that. But then again, you got these guys with these, $100,000 reef tank setups, and $6,000 really isn't a big deal. So it just kind of scales with whatever your setup is. But yeah, I'm glad you guys can hear me. I don't know why. I think what happens is I get disconnected from via the internet here, and then it just automatically mutes the mic for whatever reason. But yeah, so sorry to hear that, Missy. I know that you sent me some messages. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Um, let's see. If buying a large pack of corals, could I email you photo of my tank and aquascape? Could you pick and recommend where place for best growth? Yeah, I could do that. Just gotta hit me up outside of kind of everything else. Yeah, I could do that. I'll be honest with you guys. My coral selection is pretty low. Yeah, it is. I don't know what to say. I mean, I mentioned this before. I really just kind of outsold my growth, and Big Bertha made things very difficult. And as I mentioned before, I'm not going to keep harping on it. I just made some bad decisions with a very big fish, and it has negatively impacted the business. But yeah, if you want to hit me up, I can do that. Yeah, about time there's a live stream again. Yeah, sorry, man. I mean, I'm going to go back to weekly. I just had to get my life back together. Congrats on the gold medal, by the way. Yeah, appreciate that. You guys showed a lot of support on that, and not only here online, but in the gym as well, and in the the academy. There's a ton of people. A lot of you guys watch this too, so yeah, a lot of support. Really do appreciate it. Definitely looking forward to do it again. I'm going to go to the same venue, the same weight class, and we'll see what's up. I mean, I'm really working on my game and trying to. This week I'm doing S guard to triangle, from S guard top. It's pretty crazy. So it just works well with how much I weigh. Good old 203 pounds, but it's just pretty nasty. And the only downside is I have very meaty drumstick legs. I'm 5'8", so I got a lot of muscle on my legs, and they're not very long, so it makes triangles difficult. But I seem to be doing okay. But yeah, so I definitely want to improve my game before I get out there and start going again. Mitzi says, we also lost all of our other fish. Freshwater counted over 1,000 losses total. I'm in a horrible wreck, and I feel like a horrible fish owner. We're going on BRS and getting a battery backup. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now. I don't know what your complete setup is, Missy, but you got to understand, battery backups are just that. They're batteries. If you go 4 days with a power outage, your battery backup is just prolonging death. That's the sad truth. A battery backup is yeah, you can have that stuff for like 1 or 2 hours, but if you're going days, it's not going to happen. The money you're going to spend on that battery backup, you might as well put that towards a real generator with the damn thing that I don't remember what it's called. Jesus, man. It's gonna, I'm gonna click off this live stream, like, oh, that's what it was. But yeah, I'll talk about the teeth here in a second. I have the other chat up, so I'm seeing the stuff that comes in. But yeah, Missy, if you battery backup's cool for a couple hours, but days, it's just basically like, hey, you're not gonna die in 2 hours, but you're gonna die in 2 days. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying not to get one, but just keep realistic expectations for batteries. Yeah, you can talk about it, Vina. Yeah, right. Damn, man, sorry to hear that, having to go through that. Hey, well, listen, I'm a strong believer. I live a pretty faith-based life. So I'm a strong believer that everything happens for a reason, good and bad, and at the end, it's all for your good. Now, granted, as humans, we have a hard time. I talk like I'm an alien, right? But as human beings, we have a hard time separating that when you're going through a difficult time in life, and realistically, like I said in the beginning, I wouldn't change anything, regardless of how hard it was, how, everything about it. I wouldn't change it, because I would never want to go back to the way I was and how I was, and how I lived, and the things that I tolerated, and just vice versa. I wouldn't go back to that for anything. So yeah, hey, listen, being a single dad, running a business, have my kids, I have my jiu-jitsu, I have my business. I'm pretty content. I'm pretty happy. So I'm definitely not upset about how things are for sure. I would love to get out of debt, so it's going to happen at some point, but, we all have to make sacrifices and at least in 10 years from now, I guess I don't want to go too far into this, but realistically, the same situation happened to my dad way back when I was little, like my boys' ages, and my dad didn't do anything about it. He just let things happen, and he just disappeared, right? And that means I grew up without a father. And granted, I mean, I turned out okay. I mean, I'm not the greatest person in the world, but I turned out pretty good. Thankfully, the military guided me in the right direction. And I ran into some pretty positive church-based, faith-based men in my life that have guided me in the right direction. But thankfully, but the realistically, or the reality is that I wasn't going to disappear. I was going to do whatever I could, regardless of what it cost and what I would have to sacrifice to make sure I was still there. Yeah, that's what I did. So it is what it is at this point. Money is money. A new house is a new house. It doesn't. Those are things, man. Those aren't relationships. So it was horrible to watch them die. I can imagine how horrible that is. I mean, I've lost fish and coral during power outages, and I think I've done a video on this about my first time I've had that issue, and the reason why I bought a generator way back in the days. I saw that happen to my own tank. Sucks. It really does. Got down to 25 degrees at night. We lost, 25 degrees. Yeah, that'd be horrible, just being in the house, not being a fish. No wonder you wanted to beat stuff up. Listen, Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-jitsu is one of the best decisions I ever made in my entire life. Not only do I have really good relationships with people, I mean, I have a ton of friends. I am probably the calmest person I've ever been in my entire life. Like, when you go to the grocery store and people act stupid or somebody acts tough, or like in traffic, you have your normal road rage. I don't have any of that anymore. I'm super chill. I'm just like, man, whatever. It's a nice day. If I get angry, I'll just go take care of it at the gym later. But right now I do like 15 hours a week at jiu-jitsu. Even with my children, I still end up, I take them to open mat with me on Thursdays, and they get to see me kind of do the thing. And then, we come home and we do our own thing. But yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu, I mean, if you're looking for an outlet, or you're looking for something to really grab onto and focus on and really, put some effort into, then do it up. I mean, yeah, ask Andrea. I talk to Andrea quite often, and she, even she notices the difference. So, but yeah, beautiful tank, huh, Matt? Yeah, back in the day. This tank looks nothing like this. Nothing. It's a shame, but nothing's meant to last forever, I suppose. Yo, what's up? Congrats on your fish and your fights, bro. Hey, thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate it. Can't wait to do it again. I mean, I'm still really nervous about it. I mean, how could you not be? But I'm looking forward to doing it again. Hey, Travis, question. So I have let me see here. Hey, Travis, a question. So I have had my Evo 13.5 for 2 months. Started with pH of 8.1. Now it's 7.7. Any way to bring it up to stable? I do a water change one time 5 gallons pro salt, reef salt, and nothing but LPS. Okay. Well, this time of year, I'll be honest with you. I mean, for me, I find that this time of year, just being cold, I have lower pH, mostly because during the summertime we have windows open, there's more airflow, hence more oxygen. So I don't know what your skimmer setup is, but again, I offer skimmer CO2 attachments for any skimmer out there. I mean, you can even send in your lid. I can make sure it works. But yeah, you could add CO2 scrubber. You can plumb your skimmer outside and pull in fresh air from outside. You can open up windows when it's not 14 degrees outside. You can add a refugium and have the chaeto growing at night, have the light on at night, so it pulls out the extra CO2 to grow, again, elevating the pH. Now, one thing I'd be interested in knowing, Oscar, is what's your alkalinity like? Are you getting alkalinity fluctuations? Like when you do your water change, are you at like 9.5? And say when you do your next one in a week, are you at 7? Are you at 8? How far is the alkalinity going down? Because even though it is LPS, those LPS are going to consume calcium and alkalinity on a daily basis. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I mean, Zoas are the only ones, and even to a certain extent, you might have Coraline that does. But either way, I would say, since I don't necessarily have that answer in front of me, I would say if you're doing a water change and your salt is, and you would test this before you put, you could test your salt to kind of see what it's at. But say your salt goes in the tank at 9.5 and, your tank is, let's just say 9.5. All right. And then over the next week or two before you do your next water change, if you end up being at like 8 or 7.5 or even 7 or even lower, then you know that you need to do something in between those water changes to keep the alkalinity stable. Now, your pH level is directly related to the amount of alkalinity, and we'll just use simple terms, your alkalinity level and the amount of CO2 in the water. So a lot of people will, put their power heads to the surface to help break up the surface. That helps release CO2 from the tank. Again, I mentioned the refugiums. You can add a CO2 scrubber, plumb out your skimmer outside. Those are all things that you can do. I think I have a video on this somewhere. I'm pretty sure I do. But yeah, so the relationship between your alkalinity and the amount of CO2 in your tank really determines your pH. And the reason why I ask you about your alkalinity fluctuations, because say you're at that 9.5 when you do your water change and then it gets down to 7. Yeah, that's where you're going to notice those lower pH numbers over time. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Inverter. Yes, Andrea, it's called an inverter for the, where were you like 10 minutes ago, homie? Jeez. Yeah, an inverter on the generator or built into the generator. That allows there to be stable power. You don't have to worry about surges, which will burn up your apex. If you hook your apex to a regular generator, you might get lucky and it doesn't. But if it does, bye-bye apex. And I'm pretty sure it isn't covered in the warranty. But yeah. I bought the API light covers. Love it. Thanks. Cool. Oh, you're the one about that? Okay, cool. My elk was 9.3 before water change yesterday and 11 after water change. Wow, damn. Well, thankfully, Oscar, it's only an LPS tank. I would not recommend that type of fluctuation with your alkalinity when it comes to SPS, but you might get away with it for your LPS. For how long? I don't know. Like if you have a clam, and is LPS is a clam considered an LPS? I mean, it looks like one. It's got like a shell and stuff, but either way, it grows like one. But yeah, that's a huge fluctuation. You would think if your alkalinity went from 9.3 to 11, your pH would go up. So that means that there's just CO2 in the tank. So you use the methods that I mentioned before to help eliminate some of that CO2, and it should help. But yeah, I would. I don't know, maybe do smaller water change more often to help with that fluctuation. 9.3 to 11 seems pretty drastic in just one water change, but I mean, I wouldn't. Clams I know they're inverts, but they grow like LPS. The point is like a hammer, it grows like an LPS. It's slow, it's chunky like an LPS. You know something, Andrew? We're done. I'm done with you today. $2.99 on Amazon. What are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about. I must have missed it. Travis, I emailed you about a snail guard for 3D printed for a smart ATO, Aqua ATO. My 10-gallon has had a snail climb over an optical sensor and make it tangle. Yeah, Reef Gaming, you can put in for I can make anything, literally. I can make anything. I mean, how long it takes me to make it is a different story. I mean, right now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 13 skimmers sitting in my room right now. So yeah, it's good to be single. Ain't nobody gonna accept that. But anyway, yeah. So there's a bunch of custom orders that I still got to do. Your best bet, and to be completely honest with you, is just order the custom item and get in line. I tell people like, hey, let me know when you don't have anything, and I can send you this and send you that. I wish I could tell you that's gonna be good for you, but it's not. I mean, I feel like as a business owner, maybe I'm doing something wrong. But the sheer volume of compared to my resources to take care of everything, it's just not there. I mean, short of me working more than I do now, I don't really know what else to do. I could hire somebody someday. But yeah. Sound out again. Got you. I'm back. Thank you. Let's go and see what we got here. Are you going to add another tub for corals when you take down the low boys? No, I'm actually going to put 3D printers where the low boys are. It's going to take some time. Like I'm going to listen for that to happen. It might not even happen before I move. So I renewed my lease for another year. Yeah, so I renewed it for one more year. And basically between now and then, my goal is to pay off the credit cards that I use to, take care of the attorney stuff, and actually still doing a little bit of that. And then just kind of pay off whatever debt I can and just kind of get myself out of the hole that I put myself in. So that's my plan. Is I'm just gonna kind of pay everything off between now and when it's time to move, or gets to that around that time where I can start looking for a house. And then if I end up paying everything off early, then I will invest into printers before I move. But it just kind of depends on how things work out. Yeah, I mean, I got, obviously debt is first before you can, you can't play before you get rid of the responsibilities. So yeah. How are the teeth doing? So I went in and got fitted for a partial denture. Um, I was going to do implants, but decided that, I'm getting hit in the face. I'm not trying to, yeah, I can just take my teeth out before I fight, and it's just easier. So I did, and it's also cheaper, about like $20,000 cheaper. So I went ahead and I went and got fitted for the teeth that are missing on my upper jaw. Is the upper part still a jaw, or is it just the bottom of jaw? Regardless, the teeth up top. So I'm gonna go in for my second fitting next Tuesday, and I should have my teeth by the end of the month. So they say. It wasn't too expensive. I think it's like under $2,000, which is cool for me. And I can take them out and put them away before I roll and do all that kind of stuff, so I don't have to worry about breaking them. So yeah, gonna have some chompers. Because there's nothing like getting whole chunks of stuff just stuck in between between the gaps in your mouth. And by the way, I didn't lose these teeth because I didn't brush them. They just either got knocked out or busted during accidents in Afghanistan and all sorts of stuff. So it's not like I was like neglecting my teeth and that's why I lost them. They just, unfortunate accidents. So solar panels with battery back, awesome for large tanks. Yeah, if you have the money to put into solar panels, which by the way, I do plan on doing something like that with the new house. Yeah, solar panels are definitely the way they go. They take a little bit to pay off, but there are some organizations or plans out there or companies that will actually like give them to you for a percentage of your power. But yeah. Just cycled my 38-gallon bow tank, 0 ppm ammonia and 20 ppm nitrates and 0 ppm nitrite. Okay. I was thinking about putting 2 per unla captive bred clowns. I can't speak. I don't know if that's English or what. Clownfish and Saturday. How long to wait to add the goby? Okay, so I mean, right now, you have no ammonia, which is great. You have no nitrites, which is good, meaning that you've built up the bacteria that processes both of those, and now you have nitrates. So right now your cycle is over. So you said 38 gallon, adding 2 clowns. That's fine. You can add the goby whenever you want. It's 38 gallons, 2 clowns. I mean, unless you're dumping a ton of food in there, which you shouldn't be. Realistically, you should only be feeding them once per day and only what they eat within like 5 minutes, and then scoop out the rest just for waste purposes. But you can add the goby now. I mean, matter of fact, you can probably add a goby and another fish. It's 38 gallons, 2 clowns, barely produce any waste. Yeah, add a goby. I mean, I wouldn't add no like 6-inch tang or anything or a giant eel, but yeah, you can get away with a couple more fish. You should be fine. And just monitor your feeding. If anything, I tell people don't feed them the first day. Most fish won't eat the first day or two you put them in anyway, so don't even bother putting food in. You won't have that waste, and then the bacteria will kind of just build up over that time anyway. So there you go. Going to try Kalkwasser in my nano tank. Do you still use Kalkwasser? And when you did use it, did you find dosing it at lights out stabilized your pH? Also, did you notice any benefits, cons for me? Okay, so I do use Kalkwasser when my pump is working. With the amount of coral that I don't have in the tank anymore, I really don't need Kalkwasser. I was really just using it for pH purposes. Now, when it comes to dosing Kalk, I would dose it at night. And then of course have a way to monitor that and keep it consistent. And that way you can make adjustments like using the Apex or something. But yeah, dosing it at night is going to be good for pH benefits, just because it is going to increase. Just be careful. It's going to depend on how your system is. Say you're using a calcium reactor through the day, and then you add just the Kalkwasser at night. Depending on how much you dose, you might get a spike in alkalinity throughout the night, because again, you're not consuming, not necessarily to a certain point, you are consuming calcium and alkalinity throughout the night, but probably not as much as you are during the day. Hence, we see those fluctuations in our test on the Trident. But yeah, so just be careful. You could even go as far as turning your calcium reactor off and flow and all that stuff via the Apex during the night if you really wanted to just utilize the pH benefits of the Kalkwasser. Also, you're not going to be dumping low pH effluent in throughout the night, so it's going to be double as good. But that's going to take a little bit, it's going to be a little bit more complex than just adding it. So you could always just have your calcium reactor turned off via the Apex, and then have your calc turned on and have that dialed in. If you have an SPS tank, like in the video here, if it's full of SPS, I would not do that unless you're familiar with that process already, because you might be playing with fire when you don't necessarily need to, just for some pH benefits. I don't think it would be worth the risk, but it's your tank. So yeah. Let me answer this question here, Brandon. What is the question? Something about coral. I want to figure I'd get that out of the way. What's the wait time on coral orders? Well, we couldn't ship all for like the last 2 weeks because we had literally 6-degree weather, and I refused to ship coral. Anything under 25 I won't ship. So right now I have 8 coral orders in queue right now, which is not a lot. I can get that out in 1 or 2 days. I'm going to ship probably the majority of them tomorrow. When it comes to the variety of the frag packs, right now I'm doing a 15 pack, which is pretty average. You might get a couple like a couple Slimers or a couple green digits or something like that have extra. But I have more than 15 or 20 different corals left, so that's not a huge deal. But the only issue I ran into before is when you get 10 people ordering the same 20 pack, it does take a little bit, to get those corals cut and healed, because, or just the variety of corals out there. So yeah, there might, in a 20 pack, you might have a couple that are the same, but they're all going to be different. Yeah. And a lot of people have been appreciating, I throw in a Groobs, like with this coral right in the video here, the Groobs Gorgonian. I'd like to throw one of those into every pack, because a lot of people like those, and it's a pretty damn expensive Gorgonian. And if you can, essentially you're getting it for like $15, $10 or $15, depending on the pack. And it's like a $70 Gorgonian. So people are pretty stoked about that. So yeah. So yeah. As for coral wise, I'm going to grow as fast as I can and keep up with what I can. Right now I have 3 Radions that are dead. One of them's blinking blue and red lights, and the other 2 are just solid red. So I got to call them and get those fixed. It's definitely hardware. So yeah, I'm just killing lights over here. In like 2 weeks, I killed 3 of them for whatever reason. Yeah, the Gorgonian is really nice, man. I try to throw one in just because it is just, I love that coral. So my ice cap battery backup failed after 14 months and appears similar to the Ecotech other options. What do you use for electrical failures? So I use a generator with an inverter. That's the only thing I use, because my system's so large that a battery backup would be pointless for me. Even a larger one. I think even solar to a certain point would probably, depending on how much battery storage I have, might even be difficult. So I always feel good about having a generator, and I always keep 10 to 15 gallons of fuel around at all times. And I do actually take that fuel. It is just regular, right? So I do take that and put it in my truck. After say 6 months of not using the fuel, I'll put it in my truck and then just refill the container, just to make sure the fuel is still decent. But yeah, I just use a generator. I feel good about it. Granted, if I'm away on vacation, which I never am, but if I'm ever gone and power goes off, I'm like, well, it was meant to be. So it's the way it is, man. So okay, I'm going generator. Thanks for the info, Charles. Yeah, a generator with an inverter is your best bet. I got mine at Home Depot for like $700, $600, $700. I think I even got my veterans discount on that. It was like 10% off, but they're a little weird about that. They still gave me a discount. But yeah, batteries are great for small systems that don't require a lot of power. Say like you have like a nano tank with an MP40 and you have a battery backup for that. Cool, you're good. You have surface agitation, it's going to be good in general, but it's not going to save your whole system. So, I don't run a skimmer on the tank, just Biomax media. That's all. Would you recommend a skimmer or refugium for such a small tank? I use Reef Pro Salt. Yeah, I think regardless of the size of the tank, if you could fit a skimmer and a refugium on there, or even make your own. I think I did a video. I did a video on this. The DIY Chaeto reactor that worked out really good on one of my previous systems. Granted, the maintenance is a little annoying because you got to take it apart and like take out the Chaeto and stuff. But if you can do that once every couple of weeks, you're fine. It's really not that big of a deal. I'm just lazy, but or I just have other things taking up my time. But yeah, you can. If you got to stand underneath, you could easily make a Chaeto reactor out of a Phosban 550 or something like that, or even anything reactor wise, and you can literally just grow Chaeto in one of those, or you can if you have a sump or a way to put one in the all-in-one, I mean, yeah, definitely. Refugium and skimmer should be on every tank. I think they have more than just nutrient export benefits. I win. I'm right here working. I couldn't find either. Finally popped in my head. Yeah. Clams are, yeah, we already went over this. You're one person. You're doing the best. Yeah, I agree. I am one person, but I should put a disclaimer up. Like I don't get mad at people on the website. Like I don't, because I understand that Amazon makes it difficult for me. A lot of people order stuff and expect it to ship the next day. And I really hate telling people like, hey man, I do have a frequently asked questions section on my website, which it's within the chat. So I'll probably add a link to that at the homepage or on the Coral page or something. So or the 3D printing page, so you guys can click on it. Or maybe, I mean, I would add it to every item, but just a thought of that. But yeah, so I would like to give people a heads up ahead of time saying, hey man, if you're 3D printing, I mean, even the chance that you're going to have it shipped within that day or that next day is just, if it's a pump guard that I have laying around, maybe. Yeah. Can a battery backup Vortec work on a Jabo Wavemaker? I don't think so. I'm almost positive that it's a direct connect to the actual controller, but I could be wrong. If it's just a standard plug, like if you like an outlet plug, then yeah, you can hook that on there. But I mean, how long it's going to last, I don't know. But I've never used the battery backups for Vortec, so I can't necessarily give you that information. I guess Oscar says, I guess I'll keep checking my elk daily to see how much it fluctuates. I noticed when I did a water change, my pH went to 7.8 before water change, and after the 5-gallon water change, it was 8.1 the following day. Yeah, I mean, that's because your alkalinity went up. And as I mentioned, your pH is based off the alkalinity and the amount of CO2 in your tank. So yeah, that's why it went up. So I'm assuming if it's going down over time, then you're definitely, your alkalinity is dropping. So yeah, so let's see here. Hey, Reef folks, taking a break from the books to catch a few minutes of the stream. Been a while. Yeah, Marcus, appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, it's definitely been a while. I'll be more consistent. I mean, Monday nights seem fine. I mean, if you guys like this, let me know. But Monday nights seem to work out good. I have training in the morning, and then I have training in the evening, and then training at supper time. But yeah, so I'm pretty good. I get home at like 6:30. So now about 7. I get done the training at 6:30. So I get home about 7, and it gives me an hour to kind of situate myself before this. So if you run a roller filtration, maybe no skimmer. I like skimming, overflow, UV sterilization, and return recirculating refugium. So that helpful bacteria never hits the UV until flowing through the tank. Cool. What's up? What's the next? Okay, we already covered that question. Okay, here we go. Scott says, I was thinking a coral beauty also. Thank you so much. And how would you acclimate them? Would you just place bags in the tank and release after 30 minutes or slowly drip? Okay. So I've talked about this before and did a video on this. So if these fish, if they're shipped to you overnight, okay, as in they were in the bag all night, and yeah, I would just float them and then dump them through a net, get the water in a 5-gallon bucket, and then put them directly in the tank. So I'd float them for like an hour or two, get temperature, and then do that. Now, if you just picked them at the local fish store like an hour ago, then you can drip acclimate if you want, because it's only an hour or two. I mean, how much? Mike, that's a weird question. How much pee does a fish hold? Do fish have bladders? Do they pee? Oh shit, Andrea, Google that. Do fish have bladders and do they pee? Not swim bladders, but pee bladders. There's a difference. Okay. Damn. Now I'm gonna wonder if fish have bladders and if they pee. Whew, okay, sidetracked. Yeah. So how much waste can a fish put in a bag within an hour, right? Or two? Probably not very much. So the reason why I say that is because if you have a fish in a bag overnight, once you open that bag and that gets exposed, that ammonia gets exposed to oxygen, it becomes toxic very quickly. And that toxicity actually burns the gills. And if you've ever had a fish that just randomly died 2 weeks later for no apparent reason, then yeah, that's most likely why, if that's how you drip acclimated it. So there was a whole article on it somewhere. If I could find it, I'll link it, but I probably won't find it. So go ahead and if it's overnight, float them, dump them through a net, put them in the tank. If you pick them at the local fish store, drip acclimate for a couple hours, and then put them in the tank. Yeah, that's Or yeah, make sure it's your quarantine tank, by the way. You better be quarantining your fish. I know you just started, but you better be quarantining. And if you're going, what the hell's quarantine? You're doing it wrong. So quarantine your fish. Or you'll be on here next week going, oh, I got these white spots on my fish and I don't know what they are. All right. And we answered that question already. Matt Skill says here, as an electrician, solar panels mostly are a scam. Try saving by researching and paying upfront. You can minimize cost about 40% of the finance rate if you spot overhead costs and install. Yeah. If you can pay for it yourself, you're going to save all that interest and all that baloney. Yep, for sure. I agree with that. Yep. And if you get to the point where you're, making so much solar power, you put it back on the grid and they give you money too, which is nice. That won't ever happen for me. I'm just be lucky to drop my bill down. If not a coral beauty, what is another fish can add to 2 clownfish and yellow watchman goby? 38 gallon. I don't know if you're into, you probably already have aggressive, the clowns are probably aggressive, but I know I'm a big damsel chromis kind of guy. I like those types of fish. 38 gallon, you can get away with a little flame fin tang. That's a cute little tang. It doesn't grow very fast. And, as long as you don't put an eel in your tank and you won't disappear overnight. Oh, speaking of that, is he in the video here? A lot of fish in this video are dead. Like that fish is dead. That fish is dead. Man, that fish is dead. Holy crap. All these fish are dead. And not just because of the eel, life. Life goes on. Fish die. That fish is dead too. Oh no, that's blue. Never mind. Anyways, I get distracted again. But yeah, I don't really know what other fish. The flamefin tang is pretty cool. I'm a tang guy, so I'm not a small fish guy. Banggai cardinals are pretty cool if you like a fish that doesn't do anything. And you got to get a few of those because they got to be in a they do better in pairs or groups. But yeah, Concord Solar is a huge markup. Yeah, leopard wrasse. Yeah, wrasses would be cool too. What's your preferred method of dosing in a coral QT if water changes from your display can't keep up? Tried calc, but had a big pH spike and killed acros. 2-part. Yep. If you have the money, if I had the money, I would do a calcium reactor, but or if I really wanted to deal with them. I guess it's not so much money, but yeah, 2-part, pretty cheap. You can turn it on and off, put it on a pretty decent dosing pump as long as it's consistent. It's not, wacky and going out of calibration. 2-part would be your best bet. And there's this thing called all-in-one, I think it's called. A lot of people are talking good things about that too. So yeah, only add wrasses if you have a sand bed. I don't know. I ran bare bottom with wrasses my entire saltwater life and had 0 issues with wrasses. Well, again, it'd be different wrasses. These are Melanorse wrasses and coarse wrasses. We're not talking like leopards or anything that needs sand. Melanorse definitely doesn't need it, or 6 lines. They do pretty well with just sleeping in the zoas of the rocks. My opinion on that, though. I've heard gasoline only lasts a month. Any longer, and you should be using Sebel. Yeah. That's why. I've used the fuel that was in there for 6 months and it worked fine. The generator wasn't the happiest, but it still did work. That's why I just throw it in the truck and burn it up. So I love my generator, worth every penny. It is. It's an investment up front, but the peace of mind you get from it, like I know right now, if I'm just sitting here, hanging out with you guys and the power goes out, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm gonna go turn the generator on, and then I just run an extension cord out and plug everything in. It's like 30 amps, and boom. I can't run my lights and I can't run certain things, so I'll have to turn off power heads and lights. But I can at least still have the flow going through. I can still have the temperature, the heating. And if I really need to, I could still turn on the chiller if I really need to. I just have to turn off a couple more things. But yeah, it's pretty good. Oh yeah, let's do the veterans giveaway now. We've been talking, 45 minutes already. Holy smokes! I'm sorry, guys. I'm talking out my ass over here. All right, so let's do the veterans giveaway. Okay, again, I mentioned if you are wondering what this is and you're just coming in, go start the live stream over. I know that I was talking to myself for a minute because I didn't have any sound, but I do mention what the giveaway is. And draw for coral. You sent me that message 20 minutes ago. My bad. Anyways, so we're going to do the coral drawing. So I'm going to click here. These are all the names of people we have. Right now we have 47 veterans in this here. I'm going to click the winner. Please contact me via email if you see your name coming up. And please use the email that you signed up with because I'm going to match it, okay? Travis. Here you go. Pretty sweet name, dude. Kind of got one similar to that. But yeah, Travis, hit me up via email and I'll send you some coral. All right, bro. Congratulations. And let's get this going and keep going. So again, next month, first weekend of the first live stream of the month, which will be, if we're going to do Monday, it will be the 7th. So the 7th of next month, we're going to do another drawing. All right. Let me pull up the stream here again. All right. That's there. That's there. All right. We're good. Okay. Okay, cool. Congratulations. All right. Let's go. We got a few more questions. We're going to go for an hour. That seems to be a pretty happy spot for everybody. They gave me a discount once on a 1600 lawn tractor once. Good peeps there. We're talking about Home Depot. How many minutes am I behind? So I'm 10 minutes behind. Okay. All right. I think we can agree that battery backups fail. Mine would last 15 hours only. After 14 months, it ran for 1 hour before dying entirely. It was used 5 times, cost me $250. Yeah, that $250 is like half the price of generator. So close to it, depending on the size. But yeah, you can probably get one on Amazon too. Generator. Just make sure you get one with an inverter, and it has to have an inverter. My generator is dual fuel, gas and propane. I don't want to have a rebuild the carb. Yeah, there you go, man. Freaking over there, fancy. I mean, this guy's got like $10,000 bicycles. I'm guessing it looks like a $10,000 bike, so I do expect you to have a good generator. Yep, I keep an inverter generator handy. Any delicate electronics require an inverter, Jenny? Yep, they sure do. You can go on the forums and listen to the horror stories of Apex's smoking because of it. And anybody who's bought an Apex, you know all the goodies and all that stuff associated with it. And hopefully it's just the brain that dies and not anything else. But yeah, it's just, listen, these are the things that you have to take in consideration. I mean, we spend all the money on all this equipment, all these doses and tridents and thousands of dollars. And if you cut corners, well, that stuff is going to disappear. It just does. Let's see what we got here. The heater was in the sump, the return pump off, and maybe 24 hours later, before I realized battery backup was not reliable. Yeah. Well, sucks you lost the money, but now you know, right? And the story you just shared with everybody else in the stream, now they know. So you know your loss was somebody else's, I guess, benefit. So it did work out in the end for somebody else. Have you heard about the bad batch of tropic marine salt? No, I haven't heard anything. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't follow anything saltwater. Is that bad? I mean, I watch stuff here and there, but I really don't follow any of the stuff just because my life is pretty much consumed with it because, that's what I do for work. So I kind of, my leisure time is, I usually am looking up how to choke people, to be honest with you. If we're going to be completely honest, I mean, I spend the majority of my time reading jiu-jitsu books and watching videos and doing that. That's kind of, it's kind of my thing now. Monday is better than Thursdays for me. Cool. Well, good. I expect you to be here next week then. That sucks about the battery backup. You would think that they would last longer than that. Always a gamble when it comes to battery stuff. Well, I don't really know how they all work. I mean, every time, is there consistent power going through it? Doesn't it like burn out the cells? I'm not really, I'm no engineer. I don't know. Man, insane. I used to watch, but I had to get out of the hobby because I couldn't get the algae from growing everywhere. I think I went corals too quick. I'm not sure. Though hard hobby. Oh, well, you just got to do the time and the research. I mean, the thing about this hobby is it just takes time, just pretty much with everything else. Yeah, just put in the research. I would say take the lessons you learned from doing it before and try again. I mean, listen, I mean, you can give up if you want, but you got to live with that shit. Thanks for the info, Travis. No problem. I have read that they pee a lot due to the salt. That's a nice joke. Seriously though, Andrea, I know you're here, but you're not here. Yes, they have bladders, but I mean, do they pee like pee, or are they just like water in through the mouth and out the other side? I mean, are they just, I need more info. So I expect links. Fine. Listen, if anybody wants, nope, I'm not even going to say, I was going to say, if you could find me a link on fish peeing and send it to my email. I don't want those emails coming through, to be honest with you. Nope, not doing it. Nope, it's a setup. I work for Amazon and engineering, and the stressful stuff I go through to get your package to you. No walk in the park. Buy from yeah. Amazon is. I mean, listen, they got a nice system. I mean, they're not a multi-trillion-dollar company because they're not doing it right. They are. They just make it difficult for like the lonely guy like me, because the expectation. I mean, we live in a world of buy it, give it now, like hence fast food, right? You know, you just 30 seconds later, you get it given to you. A lot of people want that instant gratification, and not only in just everything, but in, you know, when you buy stuff, you want it now. And I get it. I feel bad that I can't give that 99% of the time, but there's nothing I can do about it. So there just isn't. There's nothing. What would be some good bigger fish for a mixed reef 4-foot shallow tank? Well, listen, if you're a tang gang, yeah, tangs. I mean, I love tangs. So Scopus, Flamefin, Yellow Eye Coal Tang. I mean, any tang that isn't Big Bertha, which is a Flamingi tang. So for a tank that size, getting a tank like the slower growing tangs is probably your best bet. And don't get anything like, so you're not going to get a hippo tang. You're not going to get a Flamingi tang, because those fish get big, like 2 feet big. And I know some are like, I've never seen a 2-foot hippo. They get that big. Okay. So because you don't know what your situation is going to be in the next few years, you don't want to get fish. You don't want to be locked into a fish like me. I can't remove Big Bertha from the tank. She's literally just destroying and living in there. And that's, you know, like I said before, I chop it up to lessons learned, but, so just, you know, get tangs if you're into that stuff. 4-foot shallow tank. I mean, tangs they're not going to jump out. Wrasses might be a little weird. They might jump out. Eels definitely don't want to do that. They'll probably jump out. What else? You know, man, I mean, my fish knowledge is pretty limited. Like I said, I'm a big tang guy because they work. I don't want no lazy ass fish in my tank. Please don't roast me, but I don't have a quarantine tank. Roasted. The 2 clowns are coming from a fish store, and I'd accumulate the fish, which helped with your info pH. Okay, yeah. Well, Scott, before you put any more fish in that tank, yeah, you need to let that tank, see how it does over the next month or so. But you need to quarantine your fish. And I'm only telling you this now, and I'm not trying to be a Wiener Schnitzel. I don't know if that's German or not, but you need to quarantine your fish. I know you're new, and I know you're just, you're excited, and you got that like, like new relationship stuff. When you meet somebody on the internet and she's got that big old booty, and you're just like, man, I can't wait to, I'm so excited. I can't wait to jump in, and all that kind of stuff. And you're really excited, right? But if you don't take your time, like putting on a rubber or, quarantine your fish, you're going to end up with an STD, or your fish are going to end up with ick. And just like STDs, they suck. I mean, I'm not saying from experience. I'm just saying in general, they suck. I got friends. I hear about it all the time. But listen, do yourself a favor and your fish dicks a favor and quarantine them, okay? I know it sucks, but you need to do it. I got plenty of videos on it. So just do it. Because if you come in here next week or a month from now, I'm going to remember your name. Everybody remember Scott's name, okay? Remember, he has a 38-gallon tank. If he comes in here bitching about quarantine, I will roast you. Anyways, I added a breaker and cutoff to my main breaker box outside and feed the entire house. Nice to watching Netflix while the neighbors are still chill with the candles. I do have a porch light on for them. That's nice of you, Marcus. Hey, man, do what you got to do. I mean, if you're capable of doing that kind of stuff, do it. If I don't tell him about the latest gossip, he doesn't know. That's true. I mean, if you don't tell me, I don't know. I don't know anything. My tank was running fine at 1 ppm nitrate, so of course I decided to mess things up and try to dose nitrate to 10 ppm to get more color out of my acros, and a few immediately browned out. Okay, yeah, because you went too fast. I mean, 10 ppm. I mean, I've rocked 10 ppm in my tank before, but I didn't go from 1 to 10. So what happened is that as soon as the corals got that extra nutrients, they reproduce the zooxanthellae faster, which if you get too much zooxanthellae, in a coral, it turns darker. It just changes color. Vice versa, if you don't have enough, it turns white and pales out. Okay. So with the extra nutrients, the coral just overcompensated by adding a bunch of zooxanthellae to consume the nutrients, and boom, there you have excess. So next time, just go slower. You can have 10 ppm. I mean, 5 ppm is ideal for SPS, but I mean, I've seen plenty of SPS tanks and acro tanks that have 10 ppm and look beautiful. So, yeah. So just go ahead and take it. I was reading the comments on the other one. So just, yeah, take your time. You're fine. But, at least you know now, right? So, Reef Addicts, do you recommend using a Neptune dose versus the Avast K1 Calcster? So, yeah, I used the Neptune dose for I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I actually have a video set up on that, Gary. So, I do actually use the dose for my Avast. I have the K2, but it's the same thing, right? So, yeah, definitely recommend that. I gotta send my dose in too. Man, all my shit's dying. I'll send you a link of the fish bladders. Thank you, appreciate it. Yes, that pee. Okay, so we're almost done at the live stream. We're gonna do a couple more minutes, guys. I'm gonna head out. I appreciate you. If you got any more questions, feel free to add them now, and then yeah, we're gonna be done. How about a short tour through the frag tanks? Extra camera handy. I don't have a camera through frag tanks. I mean, I don't really, to be honest, I don't have a lot of extra coral either. So, you're not missing anything if that helps. But yeah, at some point I'll do some videos of the frag tanks and of the 300 guys. I think the realistic reality is that the tanks are just empty. I mean, they're just super empty. And again, I outsold, and I mean, I still have plenty to fulfill orders and to keep selling coral, but I'm not rocking basketball sized colonies anymore. Those days are over, at least for this setup. So, and that's just the truth. So, anyways, guys, I think we're done. We did 1 hour. We had about 60 people in here consistently, 50 to 60 people. That's more than we usually do, and I appreciate that. So yeah, I'll just we'll do Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time going forward. Seems to be pretty good for me. And I will be doing a couple of videos tomorrow, and I will get that stuff out to you this week. I'm going to record my videos Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. That way you guys have content for the rest of the week. I mean, I don't have any issues recording videos with my kids here, but to be completely honest with you, I don't really work too much Thursdays and Fridays. I mean, I still do orders and stuff like that, but I'm not going out of my way to get a ton of stuff done because I like, messing with them and cooking. And speaking of cooking, before I let you go, I actually started doing all my cooking on cast iron. It's freaking awesome because I actually bought the pan originally because I'm going to do a Chicago deep dish pizza with crumble crust and butter crumble crust. I can't even speak. I want it right now, but I'm going to use venison. So anyways, if you guys didn't know, I'm actually really big on cooking. Like cooking is my thing. That's why I'm 200 pounds. How do you feel about using no-pox to help reduce nitrates? No. There's no. I should do that meme of Michael from The Office. No. Just lower them naturally through water changes, macroalgae, and stop feeding your fish so much. Okay. There's some other things out there. I got a bunch of videos on this stuff, but I do not recommend it use any kind of chemical to reduce nitrates or phosphates. It's just not a good idea because it's a Band-Aid. It doesn't fix the problem. It just temporarily makes it look like it did, and you'll be back to the issue before. So, yeah, Dan, don't do it. Okay. That's it, guys. Well, I appreciate every single one of you being here. If you want to support the channel, head over to fishofhex.com. There's a ton of stuff on there. And I'll see you guys, probably tomorrow or the day after with a video. All right. Peace.